I'm Michael Sinato with the Real News Network. I have with us former Nevada congressional candidate and our Revolution Board Director, Lucy Flores. Lucy, thanks for interviewing with us. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience running for Congress and what advice you would give to other progressive candidates challenging the Democratic example?
Well, first and foremost, I was elected back in 2010 to the Nevada legislature. I was the first Latina elected there in the history of the state of Nevada. And running for Congress really was just an extension of my first race. When I first ran, it was always as an honest, very open, very I am here for the people, and it's always going to be people over party. Now, you can imagine, after a couple of years, it didn't necessarily get me the most friends, but it got me a lot of support in the community, which is where it matters. And when I decided to run for Congress, I knew that at the end of the day, that it really was just a matter of me staying focused and true to who I was. Now, ultimately, I wasn't successful. Harry Reid and the establishment Democrats there decided to back someone else. And look, it happens. That's just the way that the system works right now. But that's the point, right? That's why our revolution exists. That's why so many people now are engaged in this process, because the idea is that democracy should be available to everyone, and it shouldn't be about who has the most money or who has the most establishment support or who's going to do favors for who behind the scenes, right? And so I think that the thing that I can say to people is I didn't fail. We made so much progress, and you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out the first time, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try it. In fact, if I can go back and do it all over again, I would do it exactly the same. So, you know, it really is about us staying focused on what we're trying to achieve, and if I didn't see progress happening, trust me, I would not still be in this.
Well, you had Harry Reid back, Cuban, but you also had Emily's List back, an opponent. So, you know, were you expecting that sort of, you know, abandonment from your candidacy?
I wasn't. I was not expecting Emily's List to abandon me in the way that they did about a week and a half, 2 weeks or so after I endorsed Bernie Sanders for president. You know, I've been a very, very vocal and open advocate and champion for choice, talking very openly about abortion. In fact, I talked about my own choice to have an abortion. I was the only sitting legislator during legislative testimony to talk about that in that way. And I suffered immensely because of it, death threats and harassment, and it was really one of the most awful experiences I've ever had. And that's saying a lot because I've been through some stuff in my time. So really, I definitely took it personal because you know, it was no longer about issues, it was about politics. And so for them to do that, to back someone who had no record whatsoever, either grassroots or certainly not on the issue, yeah, it was disappointing. But you know what, again, I think that it just highlights what's wrong with our system, right? And frankly, just the fact that we have to stick to it and continue getting better, and really pushing those organizations. If Emily's List, you know, turned around and started focusing on empowering women of color and making good choices in the future for supporting progressive women candidates, etc., I'm all for it, right? But we need to demand that people and organizations and elected officials do it.
You know, a few weeks ago there was this debate within the Democratic Party about Omaha mayoral candidate Keith Mello, who has a record of pushing for abortion restrictions. You know, what is your take on that debate about whether Democrats should allow and embrace you know, candidates like that?
To me, it's a very easy distinction. You can be anti-choice. You can choose to live in the way that you want to live. You can choose to talk to your children in the way that you want to talk to them and try to raise them in the way that you want to raise them. As soon as you start to attempt to legislate your will on everybody else, that's when it's a problem. So do I think that the Democratic Party or progressives should embrace people who don't necessarily believe in abortion, who choose not to have an abortion or don't want their sisters and brothers to have an abortion? For sure. That's their personal opinion. It's in the same way that people have personal opinions about other things. But when you try to pass a law that limits my choice, that limits my neighbor's choice, that limits any kind that infringes on any kind of rights that we have as women, you are no longer, in my opinion, welcome to the Democrat.
My last question, Senator Harry Reid, recently retired, and he, for a while, had, led Nevada Democrats. So how can progressives capitalize on that power point?
Well, look, I think it's an amazing opportunity, not just in Nevada, but across the country, right? There's state parties that have open positions right now. At the local level, at the state level, I mean, the key really is to capitalize on this energy and to get involved. I mean, that's certainly happening. I just ran into a current supporter also, but a friend of mine, she was a wonderful supporter of progressive, and she's now chair of the Washington in Nevada. That's amazing, right? And so there's all these opportunities for progressives who are truly committed to be at the table, to bring themselves at that table, and to really move us forward from the inside. Because frankly, if we continue begging people to give us a chance and trying to convince people to see things our way, it's never going to happen. We have to be the ones at the table, changing things from the inside out. Otherwise, we're constantly going to be asked and we're never going to get it.
Well, thank you very much.